Joining us live now is the Liberal Senator Hollie Hughes. Hollie, good to see you as always. So what do you make of this latest trend this morning?
Well, I mean, look, news polls come and go, so you've always got to be careful how much weight you put on them. But I think this is indicative of a trend that we're seeing now, and I think the Prime Minister's got to look at this and be quite honest with himself that after a disastrous 2 weeks in Parliament where Australians have really seen the incapabilities of this government when it comes to managing our immigration system, keeping people safe, the budget has come and gone without a whimper. And Australians know that, since this government came to office, their mortgages have tripled. Their savings have been depleted on average by almost 10%. Their wages, real wages, have continually fallen. We warned Australians it wasn't going to be easy under Albanese, but the reality is that it's getting more and more difficult every single day for them. And this government just seems to have no clue as to what to do.
Given that Peter Dutton's got this momentum now and that you've recently missed out on pre-selection, is it bittersweet for you?
Oh, look, I'm still there for 13 months, so there's a lot of things for me to still focus on. And, I've had lots of conversations ongoing. People were quite shocked and horrified by the results. So, there's a saying, Pete, a week's a long time in politics, 13 months an eternity, honey. You never know what's around the corner.
What are you cooking up? What are you cooking up, Hollie?
Oh, look, there's nothing being cooked up at the moment. I'm certainly not interested in moving houses or anything like that. But, you never say never. And politics is a game where you never know what's coming. So, I met with Pete last week and I was in Canberra for estimates. I've got a job to do. He gave me mental health, suicide prevention and NDIS. And, they're really important portfolios. We're in the midst of a mental health crisis, which is being exacerbated by the cost of living pressures families are feeling. NDIS for me is something that, as the parent of a child who needs the NDIS, sustainability is absolutely key. As I said in an interview on your network last week, the NDIS for me isn't an optional extra, isn't something focused I'm on for the next 13 months while I'm in Parliament. I'm stuck with it for life. In fact, my little NDIS participant turned 15 yesterday, so he's not so little anymore. But, it's indicative, looking at him, how important it is for the kids that really need it and for the families who need it to be there when they're no longer able to be.
Just on cost of living, you mentioned cost of living there. Much of that relates to energy. Peter Dutton will not leave the Paris climate agreements and is committed to the 2050 targets, but wants more economic detail on 2030 and 2035. Is that wise or electorally a problem for those inner city seats that he needs to win back?
Well, I think it's actually just reality. Before I was mental health and NDIS, I was the Shadow Assistant Minister for Climate Change and Energy. And we are so far from the 2030 target of Chris Bowen chasing 82% renewables by then. It is just simply not going to happen. Not only are the renewable projects not there, the transmission lines are lagging so far behind schedule. It's just an absolute fallacy and it's dishonest for this government to keep proclaiming that they're going to make this target by 2030, which is just simply not going to happen. So there's a difference between chasing an ideology and being open and honest with the electorate, but ensuring that Australians, and remember, Pete, we contribute 1.3% of global emissions. Like, we can shut our entire industries down and all go live in the trees, and the difference it will make to global emissions is practically zero. China is overtaking us, in the volume of emissions almost every week. So the fact that 2030 puts China as a developing nation with a space program, I don't think so. So,
no, that's true.
We've got to be honest with the Australian people here. And I think the voters are smart enough to know, look, if there's a target reached by 2030, that's great. Net zero by 2050. But let's not put ourselves in a position where we're shutting our economy down in the interim.